What if you had Night at the Museum, but it was a video game, and also Mascot horror, and also Ban was there? I'm mostly kidding about that last part, but this is Night of the Extinct. The newest game from Silver City Sharks, creators of Greg's Deadly Draft, maybe watch my video on that after this, and Word Fright. It was developed in collaboration with Garten of Ban artist Art of Gerald, who you may know for his work on the Steam art for all 9 games, as well as the end credits sequence from the 8th entry. Gerald designed all characters and did most of the in-game 2D art for Night of the Extinct, and it was apparently his first time ever acting as art director for a game. He even did modeling and 3D animation. When the game was revealed, it actually got a lot of attention, so people were excited, and they weren't disappointed with what they got. But have you tried it out yet? If not, in Night of the Extinct, you play as a mid-2010s content creator named Elliot who has challenged himself to stay overnight at a museum that's rumored to be haunted, filled with statues that only come to life at night. You'll meet new friends, but also new enemies, and find the secrets of the National Museum of Paleontology while surviving the night. The Sharks were kind enough to give me an early key for the game, so I was able to check it out and give some pointers a few days prior to release. Some of my footage is from then as well, October 22nd to be exact, so if anything looks a bit different, just keep that in mind. Before you watch, there will be spoilers. I will be completing the game and earning every achievement, as don't you worry, I already figured them all out. So if you care, take some time to play before watching. If you don't mind, let's get on with it. Oh, no subscribe reminder this time? Well, okay. I guess I'll just start talking about the game then. Okay, I am talking.
I don't know how much I even need to say about this one. I need to escape the big cat to get the gold. But how? It looks like the right pins can only be pulled if you subscribe and help us reach 100k before the channel's 2nd anniversary in February. Hurry! This ad is only 30 seconds. I need that gold so I can get a Switch 2 and finally play Legends.
Huh. Why do I feel like I zoned out mid-sentence? Must be a glitch. Anyway, Night of the Extinct starts off much like a movie would, style-wise. In a way, the menu also reminds me of what you'd see on older Blu-ray releases, keeping it simple. What isn't keeping it simple is the absolute whiplash this intro starts off with. But of course, that's all meant to parody the flashy intros of early 2010s YouTubers. I should get an intro like that. I wonder what that would look like. Once Elliot's settled inside and the museum is closed, the game begins as we stand in the corner of the gift shop. The basic controls are given, and we're free to walk around. Elliot's brought along the tiniest possible flashlight he could find. Honestly, I think him using his phone flashlight or even just his phone screen would work better. But there's a bunch of character-themed merch in here, like plushies, shirts, and other trinkets, that establishes the faces we're gonna see in-game. Some of it is even interactable.
Shen says I talk too much, but he's wrong. I don't talk too much, do I? Do I?
Or collectible. Once you're finished in the gift shop, moving closer to the exit reveals the sound of footsteps other than ours. Those belonging to the night guard, Hank, who reminds me a lot of the old guy from Up. Unfortunately for Hank, his object permanence is not very good, leaving him to wonder, much like an Oblivion guard, where you went as soon as you step back into the shop.
Stop right there, you criminal scum.
Let him catch you, and you receive a very tame white man jump scare, and see your first of the game over screens, each featuring art for the specific way you, quote, died. Trying every door in the room got me a bit confused on where to go, as they're all locked. So I end up taking Hank around on an adventure in multiple circles before I tickle the leftmost door for wisdom and realize that the counter has been glowing red this whole time. Taking that chance, I try jumping over it, and that is indeed the correct action. Hank, once again, has no clue where we are, so we now have free reign of the desk. Can't use the PC, but there's a set of keys hanging from the corkboard back here, where I jump up and get stuck in the chairs. And a whiteboard. What is this, some kind of Night of the Extinct? Right beneath it, there are a few familiar faces. Our boy Greg is here, and with him, Kitty Saurus from Ban Ban 4. Although I didn't recognize her before I got the achievement for interacting with the box. Somehow, Hank suddenly notices I'm back here and rushes to catch me. Can't get through his own security door and gets stuck on a shrub. God bless him. The leftmost door is now glowing the same color as the desk, though, so we gotta get out of here somehow. Once Hank makes a run down the wrong stretch of poles, I jump back over the counter and run to the door, where he doesn't follow. This new room contains a pressure plate, a box, and an audio guide like the ones in real museums, which explain exhibits to you when you're near them. To get to the actual exhibits where we are, which is the Cenozoic area of the museum, we have to lift the box onto the pressure plate to open the door. You do this twice, once here and once in the next hall. Elliot's single grabbing animation for interacting with everything does look a bit strange when he's doing other things, but would I want him with his hands stuck out like Darth Vader? Yes, of course, that would be hilarious. As you walk through the exhibits on display, you can listen to the audio guide by pressing T to receive the relevant info for whatever pieces you've come across. It explains that we'll be heading further and further back in time, starting with the Cenozoic era, which refers to recent history, as in within the last 66 million years or so. I found this pretty interesting since it's not like this info is made up. To go with the dioramas and display cases, there's legitimate facts on every sign that must have taken time to compile. You can easily spend a good bit of time in here if the history interests you, and even Elliot sometimes pipes up about one or two things, but usually in a way that reflects the DVD screensaver bouncing around in his skull.
They got tiger doggos in Australia? Man, only in Australia.
I especially love the addition of a little interactable display with tiny statues. The exhibits span multiple rooms and halls. To unlock each sequentially, there are more pressure plates to activate using signs and displays. What an odd security system. But as you enter into the second area, leading to the Pleistocene era, things are starting to come alive.
Visitors? At night? I can't remember the last time that happened.
With a jump scare! Okay, not really, but Arnold the Tiny suddenly flies in from a display to the left of the hall to promptly begin talking your ears off. He's not a threat, but he follows you around the whole hall while you look at the exhibits, for however long that takes you. I found it strange that Elliot doesn't react at all to him, but apparently their exchange was cut due to time constraints. Arnold still has plenty of chit-chat though, going on about how you're not the janitor, you're probably not a paying customer. How did you get past our amazing security guard?
By the way, my name is Arnold the Tiny.
And a little hint about why people generally shouldn't be here after closing. I suppose there were more statues than just you over here, weren't there? About halfway through the hall, another transmission comes in, but this time, it isn't the guard speaking.
You won't see me for a while, but you must keep your eyes open. Nothing is what it seems here. Even if they seem nice, I can promise you they're not.
Huh. You got anything to say about that, man? She's kinda dissing you. Nah? Okay. To get to the next set of exhibits, there's a pressure puzzle in a room to the left, near the end of the hall. You'll have to backtrack through this area to find and grab the physics objects. Don't go jumping on those boxes, they're dangerous. As the door opens, another cutscene plays as you receive a new transmission. I adore how Elliot can see a living statue in the previous room, see a stationary statue in the next one, and immediately sit down next to it. I'm acting as if my dumb wouldn't see a big kitty and fall for it. By the way, you can still listen to that transmission if you want. The cutscene doesn't delete it or anything, but you might be preoccupied with the large angry wildcat that is now present in the room. To start, it's usually best to sprint to the small vertical case across from you, but it isn't best to stay there for too long since there are gaps between it and the diorama that she can see you through. Your first objective here is to press all the door buttons to turn on the security plates. Any you haven't pressed will beep loudly. During this, as you could already see, Kiona will be wandering the room. If she spots you, she will growl briefly as she begins running for you. And while she takes a moment to accelerate, she very quickly becomes faster than you, so you can't just take her on a run forever. To avoid her, you can hide behind anything in the room from any angle. She's not great with object permanence, much like Hank, so even if she's on her way, you can crouch behind something and she'll give up. But be careful about your angles, especially when she's close, as she can easily turn to face you, and at that point, probably not even gonna uncrouch in time. Yo, hey, by the way, Dusky, from the edit here, I just remembered that I thought a lean function could be used here. Perhaps something like Escape the Backrooms, where it's on Q and E and you can lean around obstacles, because sometimes it'll be a bit difficult to see where Kiona is going or coming from if you don't step out into her line of sight. One thing I like about this area is that the glass cases still work as cover, allowing you to get a better look at Kiona's model and animations if you want. When you manage to hit all the buttons, the security plates will rise from the floor. While I do think the game relies too much on this one type of puzzle, here is where it works best in my opinion. Since you have to use these vases to activate the plates, it forces you to venture out into the less covered area of the room, and raises the tension as they are physics objects and can fall off of the plates if you aren't careful placing them. Therefore, you have to be uncovered sometimes to properly focus on placing one down. There's a whole 6 plates to activate, and once you've done that, the door at the back of the room opens, leading to the storage bay. Once you make it in, Kiona will despawn. If you are interested in the exhibits in her area, this is your time to head back in and check them out, since she won't come back. Yo, Camelops, I'm watching your stream. Why you try not to laugh? That's disrespectful as shit, bruh. Looks like somebody's getting a bit bored. Let's find you something to do. How'd you do? Let me know. Anyway, without further ado, let's get back into the action. Upon entering the storage bay, you're given a choice between sticking around to discover more secrets or exiting through the hallway to end your journey. Initially, I misinterpreted this as some sort of hub area you would return to after exploring different parts of the museum, allowing you to call it quits at any time, having had enough terrors for one live stream. First intelligent IRL streamer. I wasn't sure which hallway they meant, since there are kind of a lot of them, but it's this one, labeled to go to the Mesozoic era. Looking to try everything, I went there first. And Kiona's back, complete with a live Kiona reaction, and you'll show up on it if she's close enough, which is honestly pretty funny. Although I have to ask, does Elliot have some sort of extra GoPro on his belt or something? Kiona will chase you through this room as you rush to the only open door, which will close on her as you make it inside, where the only thing you can interact with is this glowing box.
Thank goodness I was doing the rounds, otherwise you'd be dead meat. Name's Shen the Reaper.
Hi, Tight Coker! Shen here directs you to the door beside him, but as you enter, your attention is once again set towards another cutscene.
Speaker out of bounds. Please return it to the closest drop-off box.
And now you've completed the game. I was initially surprised at the short length. I really thought I missed something, since that whole area felt like a midway point as Elliot has just realized the real danger he's in. And also because the achievement had a question mark and I'm really used to games pretending to end and hiding a whole bunch more in their back pocket. So I continued from the hallway to really dig for stuff. Warning, this is where I go into achievement talk, in case you want to figure them out yourself. Firstly, we've got Arnold. I ignored him so I could cover the hallway first, but don't attack me, we'll talk to him now. He kinda just talks about whatever, although here he mentions someone named Pedra that can apparently hear us. That isn't just spooky talk, she is actually right over here, fussing over some boxes. You can talk to her too.
Oh, a stranger? At this very hour? How unusual.
The game lets you know you need 3 bobbleheads to trade with her. For what isn't specified. The first one was in the gift shop at the start, and the second is in the hall where you meet Arnold. The third one is in the ending plate puzzle, which you have to solve to get to it. Once you have them all...
Oh my! Thank you for this trinket, stranger. This will go nicely with the other items in my roost. Oh, here! Take this as a trade of sorts. I couldn't find a good spot for it.
Pedro will give you a CD in return. The CD allows you to interact with the PC in the entrance, where Hank is totally doing his job, to see that the museum is apparently suspicious of the statues and has caught them moving on camera. The last secrets require a new playthrough from here, and they just have to do with deviating from the path. You can skip picking up the audio guide, although it will somehow still talk to you at the end, and you can make it into Kiona's room while carrying the dodo cutout from the previous exhibit to be rewarded for using her least favorite food as camouflage. What do you mean she doesn't like it? I thought cats loved cardboard. However, the ending we got is indeed the true ending of the game. It felt to me like it ended a bit abruptly after meeting a new character, especially when I was just getting into it. I guess it's a testament to how charming the game was that I already wanted to see more, yeah? I even have my own theories about who spoke to us in the hallway and in the ending. I think it's Tutega, that blue thing they showed on Twitter. I forget exactly what prehistoric animal she was, but the voice seems to fit and she apparently has strange wisdoms. Anyway, Night of the Extinct brings something new to the genre with how stylized it looks. I haven't seen this much stylization in the 3D mascot horror genre since most 3D games don't really have a distinct style. Granted, it is pretty hard to accomplish since you have to think of functionality too. Sometimes a really stylized model isn't gonna move well or do what you want, and maybe you'd have to be really good at 3D stuff to pull off cheats and make it work like what industry people do for funky poses. I've seen some games that still manage to pull off a style though, so let me put forth a few examples. One such game that's pretty obscure but deserves more attention is Silent Mansion, a pixelated survival horror game where this little guy traverses a hostile manor where all manner of freaky dudes are out to get him. It's available on itch and GameJolt and you should play it, it's free. You'll notice many creatures in the game have a distinct design philosophy. Simple angular bodies with bright rounded eyes and stark black pupils. If they don't follow this, they still remain jagged in appearance, with very simple shading. It's like a PS1 game, but without needing to abide by system limitations for things like lighting and model size, so it's able to do some real weird stuff with the art style. For a more popular example, Bendy is a really strong one. It's able to use its story as a reason to have very cartoony characters existing on the physical plane, but also doesn't shy away from tearing them up a bit when needed. Alongside that, most of the game uses sepia tones and black shading not unlike a sloppy comic book. It's by far the most visually distinct mascot horror game out there, I believe. And another pretty popular example, in my opinion, is actually Dandy's World on Roblox. While the visual design probably has a lot to do with the limitations of Roblox's engine, there is a concrete style here with how similar the character models look to their 2D art. There's a design philosophy everyone sticks to. The round eyes, big black pupils, everyone gets at maximum 3 colors in their palette, and they've all got big fat heads, even if they don't quite look like 90s cartoon characters like they're touted to be. And their environment is crafted to be simple and cartoonish just like they are. And finally, a less immediately obvious entry I think would be Mince Hints. Anyone remember that? It's a Blue's Clues inspired mascot horror game where you investigate what you later find out is a murder mystery on the set of a cancelled children's show. Everything here is stylized almost exactly like the show it's based on, looking like it's made out of clay and sporting a little face. I'm talking about the first game, by the way. I haven't played the second. I can't tell if it starts moving away from that. That was a bit of a tangent, but I'm noticing that visual uniqueness in mascot horror is starting to go on a downtrend as the main giants take the reins. Perhaps teams without as much budget feel a bit intimidated stepping in to compete with stuff like that. I think that smaller indies should be encouraged to present their own new art style, especially nowadays, to stick out amongst the absolute modern flood of shovelware or AI-generated slop that threatens to give mascot horror an even worse name. Anyway, I of course mentioned how I was interested in more Night of the Extinct to the sharks. And apparently this can be interpreted as a universe that can be expanded if we show interest. That makes sense as they aren't charging for the experience. So let's show them we want more, huh? Make it known on social media, in the comments, wherever you like. Just don't harass them. And once again, I want to thank the sharks for the opportunity to play early and for both them and Gerald showing up to my stream. I wish you guys the best of luck with your future projects, whether they be extinct or not. That being said though, I wanted to mention a few things of my own before we close. First, I've spoken about this everywhere but in videos, but I have privated nearly all my live streams and moved them to my VOD archival channel. It's because of weird analytics stuff. You might have noticed you're getting recommended more live streams, even members-only live streams, from just about anybody. And so, me streaming so much was just pushing streams over my proper content, screwing up the numbers. This is kinda my job, so yeah, I'm trying to fix that. You clicking on my videos when they're recommended and leaving a like and/or a comment helps a bunch, so I would really appreciate your help with this too. I will no longer be streaming on this channel except for very special occasions, and instead I will be streaming games and posting highlights over on my second channel, so make sure to check that out if you've enjoyed my streams. And I might have a new song cover in the works for a Christmas time release. Been sitting on it for a while in the hopes it can have a really cool music video to go with it. I'm really happy with the progress made on it so far. One last thing is that I made some new merch to celebrate hitting 75K, so you can get 15% off with the code TWISTY25 until the end of November. Okay, I'm done shilling. I missed this in the last video. So, this has been Glamrock Dusky, and remember, have a phasorific day! And also Ban was there. Oatmeal.